Okay, welcome everybody. Just going to give it a second as people pipe in. Okay, it looks like they're coming in. Okay, thank you guys so much for joining us for today's webinar, Harnessing AI for Everyday Innovation, Creating a Culture of Smart Solutions. Say that 10 times fast. That's a mouthful. A few housekeeping items before we get started. This webinar is being recorded, so we will send out a link to that recording within 24 hours. If you guys have any questions during the session, feel free to type that into the chat and we will be sure to answer it at the end. Okay. My name is Ryan Fitzgerald. I'm the events manager here at Enumerate. And today I'm joined by Greg Bond, our SVP of Customer Operations and our resident AI expert. This is a very packed session, so I'm going to go ahead and pass it over to Greg now.
Hi, everyone. Thanks for joining us on this Tuesday. Appreciate you taking the time out of your day to listen to us talk a little bit about AI. I know we're hearing a lot about it all over the news and in the media, and we thought it was about time that we kind of walked through a high-level piece on what AI is and what it means to the community association industry. So, quick agenda slide here. We're going to hit, what AI is and how does it work at a very high level. We're going to talk a little bit about some of the benefits of investing in AI as a property management company, community association, and we'll dig into some of the AI adoption challenges that you may face within your organization, and then how you can apply AI to community management. We'll really get into the weeds here. I'm going to do some show and tell, and we'll see some AI in action. I'll give you some very practical ways that you could start leveraging AI immediately after this webinar. So we'll end up with a little Q&A. So if you have some questions, feel free to type them in the chat. Ryan will be managing the chat for me, and I guess with that, Ryan, let's dive right in. So, starting off here with what is AI, right? AI, you hear a lot about it lately. We're getting a lot of information hitting us constantly about AI today, but AI has been around a long time, right? It's been around since the 1950s. When computers were trying to replicate or simulate human intelligence. Now it's accelerated over the years. In the 1980s, machine learning came out. In the early 2010s, deep learning algorithms came out, and computers were getting to the point in processing speed and power, and with neural networks that they could do a much better job of sort of replicating or simulating human intelligence, which brings us to the 2020s and, a few years ago, the dawn of what's most commonly referred to as generative AI, where really large language models, LLMs, came into play, and it gave us an interface to interact with AI in a way that wasn't there previously, and in a way that the large language models and understanding natural language could also generate language back to us in a way that was coherent and what feels like, and often a lot of cases, magic. So that large language model and the understanding of generative AI is really the focus of what's changing the world today. And so we thought we dive in a little deeper. So I want to give you a couple of high level terms that you'll hear around generative AI that it's just good to know, good to have in your head about how generative AI works. So let's start with prompt engineering. Prompt engineering is the basis of all generative AI work today. You give the AI a prompt, and basically what that is you're giving it context. Like the large language model that is behind all of this the context is very broad. If you just said, "Hey, write me something," it could write you something, but it's going to have to narrow it down in order to provide context. And so, prompt engineering is what allows you to give the AI the context it needs to spit out a coherent answer and exactly what you're looking for. So, being good at kind of crafting that clear and effective instructions for the AI to give it the context is what prompt engineering is all about. You don't necessarily get it right the first time. You got to tweak it. You got to do some engineering on the prompt to get the output, uh, the exact quality you're looking for. So when you move on from prompt engineering, the next thing that we'll look at is fine tuning. Okay. Fine tuning is now taking this large language model that has a broad understanding of everything. And instead of just giving it a little bit of context, you're actually customizing the model. You're going to make sure that the model becomes more domain specific and that you can weight the sort of output of the model to say, hey, I want you to do things more like this, more like me. You can really start to work in fine tuning on making sure that the performance of a specific task or specific to a domain or an industry or a company, you can fine tune things to make sure that the model, it gives you the output that you're looking for specifically. The next concept I want to talk about is RAG. RAG is retrieval automated generation. A lot big words in there to basically means that you can augment the knowledge that the AI has available, right? There's the large language model that lives in the background that understands language and it has a lot of knowledge already in it. But what you can do with a RAG process is you can give it more specific knowledge specific to your company. You can have it access APIs and data through APIs. You can have it access documents, unstructured data, which is, again, one of the more revolutionary things about generative AI today is the data doesn't have to be in a structure or a format. You can give it that data and it can access that data. It's also the way that AI can learn new things, right? Once you train a model, an LLM, that data becomes stagnant. Well, with RAG, you can continue to add more information to it, more knowledge to it, and it stays relevant, it stays up to date, and contextual with its responses. The next piece of terminology I'd like to talk through is multimodality. Multimodality is basically just a way of saying that it can process and generate not just text, but images, video, audio. So it can take that in as an input, and it can also generate images and video and audio as an output. So making it well beyond just the language itself, but also the language of visual or audio. And then the last piece here, which is really kind of pushing the edge of where things are headed now, is AI agents. They're autonomous systems that can think through, plan, they can reason, they can process things and then act upon those things to achieve goals. Oftentimes, you can string together multiple agents that do different things and they share information with each other and then make decisions. And they have multi-step reasoning processes that they can take more complex issues through and provide an output. These are very, very powerful and really can drive a lot of efficiencies because they do more than just provide knowledge and information. They can actually take action, which is super exciting. So I wanted to take these 5 concepts here, and I wanted to put a little bit more, community management context on this with a few examples. So I'll give you an example for each that are in the context of community management. So prompt engineering is as simple as, writing specific instructions that help the AI generate, a polite response to a resident or, turn a rough board meeting notes into actual professional minutes. You can, with very simply with prompt engineering, you can get that output. It's a more simple approach, and I think a lot of people, when they first start playing around with generative AI, these are the use cases for your first foray into it. When we look at fine tuning, a good example of fine tuning is sort of custom training that AI to write board communications exactly in your voice, the way you do it in your format, right? That's getting more fine tuning into it, or even resident letters, NOLAs in Florida, right? You can fine tune a model to do exactly that and write it exactly the way that you want it written. Um, for RAG, a good example of RAG is actually creating an AI assistant that can answer resident questions, like, parking rules or pet rules, or, search through the CCRs and the bylaws and meeting minutes, right? Like you can augment that information so that it actually adds a lot of value to the residents, as a model they can interact with. Multimodality, imagine basically creating an AI tool that can review an inspection photo and tell you if there's any violations in it. If they're, picture of a house, are those house colors approved or not, right? There's certain things from an image, and it understanding what's in the image, it can provide a lot more help at scale for violation management, which could be really exciting. And then on the AI agent, as an example of community management for an AI agent, imagine a virtual assistant that can manage the full end-to-end maintenance tasks, like logging the resident's repair request, checking the vendor availability, scheduling service, sending follow-up reminders, all without a single person on your staff interacting at all. It can do all of those things and take all of those actions, and it can do it all in the proper order with the proper checks and balances when you've tuned your agents appropriately. So super exciting things that can be done with generative AI in the world of community management. And so I want to dig a little bit deeper. I want to go through a few other aspects of this, and the first one is, if this isn't enough information to understand why you should invest in AI today as a community management, property management company, we've got a list of other reasons. I mean, just the things that are happening in the industry are really driving us towards a place where generative AI can actually help solve a lot of the problems, and the issues that you face as a property management company. I mean, the rising resident expectations, everybody wants it now. They want it faster. They want it personalized. Amazon has changed the world in the way people have an expectation of service, and those rising expectations mean you need to be able to do this type of communication, personalized communication, faster and at scale, which is very difficult without something like generative AI powering that. The staffing challenges, we hear about it all the time from our customers. The staffing challenges, finding good people, keeping good people, training your people, making them more efficient, right? It's a difficult market, and it's also drives the efficiency in your business if you can find the right people, keep them, and retain them. And AI can help with that. AI can really reduce that admin burden that frees your team up for the high value work you need your community managers to be doing. If to prevent staff burnout, to prevent the turnover in the staff that you see, if you can offload some of the busy work, the admin work from them, and give that to AI or to an AI agent, you may be able to retain some of your good people even longer. And just from a standpoint of you, your business, looking at the data is growing exponentially. There's so much data out there, and platforms like ours generate so much data, and it gets well beyond what a human can really go in and analyze. And so generative AI is phenomenal at analyzing very large data sets. And so I think that's a really good reason to invest in AI. And now today, the way the industry is moving, and the world is moving, is the tools for generative AI are becoming so much more accessible, so much more affordable, user friendly. They're easy to use, and I'm going to show you that here in a minute. But I think the biggest reason why you should look at investing in AI today is that the early adopters of this technology, they're really gaining a competitive advantage. You've got to stay up with the times. The people who are doing generative AI and using generative AI in their business, they're going to be able to do things faster, cheaper, they're going to be able to scale to a size with less overhead. And you as a business owner really need to think about how you maintain your competitive edge by leveraging these types of tools. But AI is it's a journey. It's not a destination. This is something that all of us are learning about, and all of us are moving through and navigating the world of generative AI. And nobody's figured it out. No one's 100% an expert in this. There are people who are a little further along in the journey than others. But I think the goal here is that you start the journey, right? That's what this webinar is all about. So, Ryan, I think we have a quick poll that we can throw up, and I'd like to ask everyone here, where are you on that curve of exploration? Are you just exploring? Are you just starting out? Are you experimenting? Trying a few tools here and there, limited use cases? Are you implementing? Are you at the point now where you're really starting to drive some day-to-day operational workflow improvements for your business? Or have you been doing this for a while now and it's how you run your business, and you're looking at ways that you can leverage AI to really drive some extra efficiency, insight, and innovation to really propel your business forward? So um, if you guys can go ahead and vote on that. I don't know, Ryan, do we have some results? Oh, look at that. So it's great. Looks like a lot of people are in the exploring and the experimenting phase. Few people are out there implementing. Nobody's at the optimization phase right now, which isn't surprising because, again, this is all very new, and everyone's kind of pushing into this at their own pace. But love to see that people are exploring and experimenting. So um, well, when you start digging into AI and generative AI, and you start building this into your business, you got to make sure you start small. You start educating your people. Conduct some training sessions. Familiarize your staff with the tools that are out there. Give them some use cases and some examples of things they can do. Ask them to go do one thing. Just try one thing, and give them some prompts to go play with. But start small. Like, just think about what are the tasks that are most repetitive, most automatable, and try to see if you can use AI and leverage AI to help you with those tasks, and help your team members with those tasks. And then as you are doing this, you also want to just kind of keep track of some guardrails, right? There's a lot of talk about AI and privacy, data privacy, compliance standards. You want to make sure when you are looking at an AI model to use, whether that's OpenAI or Gemini through Google, that you use a paid model. The paid models don't train on your data. But even still, even if you're using a paid model, you're still putting this stuff up into the cloud. You're putting it into somebody else's tech stack. And you want to be careful with what you put there. If it's not something you would post on the internet, or you'd be a little worried that if this information got stolen by somebody, that it would be detrimental, don't put it in an AI. Try to keep it within your technology system. And that's the last piece here, is test the tools that work within your technology ecosystem. Here at Enumerate, we have some AI tools, and we want to keep a lot of that inside our tech ecosystem because we can protect it better. We can protect the data better. We can protect your homeowner information. We can protect addresses and all the personal identifying information. We can protect the monetary values of things if it stays within the ecosystem of your accounting software or your resident engagement platform. So think about how you can leverage the things that are in the tool itself. But if there's some other things that you want to do outside of that tool, and again, I'm going to show you some of those here in a minute, there are other options that you can use to get some of this information through a model that you buy off the shelf with any of the companies that are out there doing this. What's next? So look, a lot of the people that we talk about, especially or talk to about this in this industry, a lot of people are worried that they're going to get replaced, that AI is going to take their jobs. And I don't think that's what it's about. AI is not about replacing people. There's always stuff that people are going to need to do. We need humans to have a heart, to understand nuance, right? The AI is still not good enough to do that yet. But AI is about empowering people. It's about taking away the busy work and the things that take up your day that aren't the higher level thinking that a human can do better than anyone else. The empathy that you need to work within the community. So, think about this and position this with your employees, your staff, in the context of, this is something that should allow them to do more, to scale, to grow faster, to empower themselves to get more done without having to work more hours. That's really the way I think of AI. And look, the benefits for AI involve every single person in your organization. Ryan, let's go to the next slide. There it is. So everyone in your organization can benefit from AI. It could be the community association manager, right? They can benefit. Board members can benefit from it, from being able to have more visibility to ask questions of a language model and get answers, get feedback, make faster, better decisions, data-driven decisions with a model like that. And residents can get better communications, better understanding of how to live in a community and what that means to live in a community and what the rules and regulations are, and how they can stay within the declarations. And as a property management company, being able to look at things across your entire portfolio of communities that you work with, gain efficiencies into how your people are working or executing, and being able to just sort of reduce the costs of doing business, which will increase your margins. So there's benefits across the spectrum of constituents within property management. There's just a few things, use cases that we've listed out here about how you can use this in community management. Just cover this super quick before we dive into some actual practical use cases on how you can use this today. But look, you can scale your operations efficiently. You can gain data insights, right? Think about the ways that you can use AI and the unstructured data you have to turn it into structured data insights. You can create content, right? Simple as just creating pieces of content and getting it out there at scale, or much faster. You don't have to worry so much about writing to the blank page. AI can help you create that content. It can really help you enhance your customer service. I know when homeowners call in, it can overwhelm your staff. And AI, if you can build an AI assistant that can do customer service to homeowners, I mean, it's 24/7. You don't have to have somebody staffing a phone. If they can get the answers they need in a personalized, faster, better resident communication platform, that's going to be better for them and better for the community, better for your business. And then research. AI is great at doing some deep research, really understanding the policies, all the changes in the state laws. You can point it at state websites. It can read the laws, and it can provide you with a lot of information back on what you need to know about those laws. You don't have to spend all of your time reading through the state laws. So it's a few high level use cases there for you guys to think about, but now it's time for us to go play with this ourselves. So I'm going to show you some very practical ways that you can get started. I'm going to share my screen here, and let's see here. All right. Hoping everyone can see my screen. So what you're going to see here is I am on the ChatGPT OpenAI website, and I'm just on the pricing page. I just wanted to start here to say, look, it doesn't really matter what model you use, but when you look at the pricing for the models, there's a free version. All of them have a free version so that you can play with it. But I don't recommend using the free version. You want to use at least something that you're paying for so they're not training on your data and your model with their model. $20 a month, not a lot of money. You can get in and start working with this and start building your own custom GPTs. If you want to go for the pro version, sure, knock yourself out. You don't necessarily need it. And then there's some for your teams where you can get, 25, $30 per user, build monthly and build out a full team if you're a little bit more on the enterprise side. Um, Google has a model too. It's called Gemini. And you could do the same with them. Free for a month and then $20 after that, and then 125 for 3 months for their ultra plan, but 250 a month after that. So again, all of these you can pretty much do the same thing. There's little nuances to each. You can kind of play around and figure that out yourself. You can also ask the models what's the difference, and they will tell you what the difference is as well. But today we're going to play around with ChatGPT. So I am in a paid version of ChatGPT, and I'm just on the regular chat. I have a couple things just that we can go through from I'll go back to that kind of original slide where we're going to do like prompt engineering, fine tuning, RAG, and multimodal. I've got a couple of questions, and I'll ask just a couple of things in here that you could do with regard to community management. So first question here is, can you help me write a newsfeed post for an HOA community feed? If I just hit go on this, it's going to immediately start saying, yes, I'm so excited that you're asking me for help, and it's going to start writing. Well, it's, a little overexcited. I don't need all these things. I didn't give it any context. All I said was, can you help me write some of these? But I didn't give it any context. So it's just going to go write all kinds of things, right? So what I need to do in prompt engineering is bring in that context, rein it in a little bit, give it a little bit more of a direction to go in so that it doesn't just write whatever it wants to write about. So I have another prompt here that I can put in. So I need a newsfeed post about the elevators in building 2 being out of order this week. So when I give it a little bit more context, it's going to do a better job. It's going to give me one output here where it's telling me about the elevators being out of service in building 2. Maybe I like it, maybe I don't. For me, I'd like a little shorter version, and it's even asking me, would you like a shorter version? But I still think I can give it some more context. So I have revised my prompt. I've engineered my prompt a little bit more. And what I came up with is create a short announcement about the elevators in building 2 being out of order this week. Make it fun and lighthearted. This elevator has issues quite often, so feel free to poke fun at it being on the fritz again. So when I give it that context, I'm giving it a little bit more of an instruction on, I want it to be short, I want it to be fun. It's a little bit more, add a little bit more personality. And it does a much better job. The more context I give it, the more information I provide for it, the better job it's going to do. Again, it's still asking me to do something more, something next, and you can continue down that rabbit hole. But I really went back and I said, you know what? I want to make this a very, very specific prompt. And so what I came up with is I'm telling it who it is. I'm giving it a persona. You are an expert in writing short content um, for online news feeds of all kinds of community topics. Your writing's always brief, funny, whimsical. I'm getting really, really specific about the tone of the content and what I want our community members who are receiving this content to feel about the content. The more I can give the LLM, the better it's going to do. Feel free to use emojis, keep it short, one paragraph or less than 5 sentences. And then at the very end, I'm just giving it that very specific piece of, it's about the elevators in building 2 being out of order this week. So when I send that through, it does a much, much better job. This is the thing that I want to be able to post, right? Um, uh, it's fun, it's funny, it's whimsical. It feels like the type of community that I want to foster in the community that I'm working with. So this is a way you can continue to do prompt engineering to get to a specific result. Now that I've gotten to this specific result, I could come back to this thread over and over again. The threads are over here on the left side, and I could ask it to write something else. But often I'm going to have to continue to give it that context again of who it is, and that type of thing. So what I wanted to do is take it the next level up, which is you can create your own GPTs. So if I click on this GPT, I go up here to create, it's going to give me a new way to create my own model, a fine tuning of a model. So the LLM is still powering this, but I'm going to be able to rein it in and give it very clear instructions about what I want it to do. And I want it to do it the same way every time. So I'm going to take that last over here on the create tab, which is just a interaction between me and the model, and it's going to help me create the GPT itself. I'm going to type in here the very last thing that I sent with all those instructions about how I want this model to work. But the thing I'm going to take out is in this message. So that last little piece where I was very specific about what message it's going to write, I'm just going to take that part out because the rest of it tells this model how I want it to perform. So when I hit send on that, the model is going to go through, it's going to read it, and it's going to start thinking about how it can build a model that's going to do what I need it to do, what I told it to do. It's asking me for a name. How about you name this? Community Quipster. I like it. So I just tell it I like it. Um, let's go with that. So as you can see over here on the right, it's already starting to give me some starters, some conversation starters. On the left, it's generating a profile pic, fun profile pic, just for me so that I can see what that model looks like. And it has built out a model. Now, if I go over to the configure side, you can see it's filled in the name, it's filled in the description of the GPT. These are the instructions that I gave it, and it's given me some conversation starters. I can always X these out. I can add some new ones, but I like this. This seems to work. I've given it access to a web search, canvas, and image generation, so it could generate images if I wanted it to. I don't have to. Probably don't need image generation for this, but might as well leave it on. So now if I create this model, go ahead and update that. I can go now interact with this GPT. I have created an assistant. You can see it's over here on the left, Community Quipster. And now it's my own model that I fine-tuned and I can ask it for other things. So I can throw in there again that original, let's see, one of the early versions of my request for the elevators in building 2. I can throw that in there and see what it comes up with. Doing a pretty good job keeping it fun and lighthearted. But I can also now just ask it for another news feed that doesn't have anything to do with the building 2 elevators. This one's more about water being shut off in the clubhouse for plumbing maintenance. When I throw that in there, it gives me another one. So I've trained this model, I fine-tuned this model to be able to provide me with the output I need. So I can give it very little additional context every time, but it's going to give me exactly what I need. And I can come back to this model over and over again, and it will always output something that I want. And I can, if I ever wanted to go back into this GPT, I can edit it and I can edit the instructions. I can add more information and I can fine tune it even further to make sure that it's giving me the output I want. So that's one use case. Hopefully you guys like that one. I have another one in here. This is a model that I built for board minutes, right? Board minutes maker. Super original name and concept. I'm going to first go back to my GPTs so that you can see the list of my GPTs. But I'm going to go into this board maker one for a minute. I'm going to edit it. So just so you can see what it looks like on the back end. So what I've done with this is I've given it some very specific instructions about the output structure of the board minutes. This is what I want my board minutes to look like. And then I told it how I'd like it to behave. And then I gave it some example output. So I went through and I gave it a very clear example of what I would like the output to look like. So this is my final output with some content in it. That's all the instructions I gave it. There's nothing else to this. I just gave it some very clear instructions of what I want the output to look like. So if I go back to the model itself, I'm actually going to grab from another tab here. I'm going to grab some board meeting minutes that I have, where I basically just took a video of a board meeting and I found a tool online that would turn it into a transcript. I got the transcript of the recorded board meeting, and I'm going to put that transcript in here. So I'm just going to say create minutes from colon, and then cut and paste the board minutes. And it's very long. I think it was like an hour long, maybe hour and a half long board meeting. When I put that in there, now it's going to immediately spit out the exact format of the board meeting minutes that I said I want the output in. And I just uploaded the transcript, and it's now going to spit out the minutes, which again takes minutes to spit out the minute. It's, seconds to finish and exactly in the format I need. Now, can I just send this to the board or post it to the residents? No, I'm going to need to go look through it, make sure that this is accurate, but much better, much faster than me having to do it myself. So super simple, super easy way to get your board minutes. So the last thing I wanted to show everyone here is an assistant. This is the RAG version of an assistant for a community, very specific to a community. I'm going to go back to the GPTs for a second, and I'm going to open this one up so you can see what I did here. So in this one, not only did I give it some instructions, I told it who it is. I gave it core principles about community management and how it should work. I have given it links to state laws, and I talk about the covenants and the articles and corporations bylaws in here and what order it should consult these documents in. I've given it a lot more instructions about how I want it to handle and output responses to this GPT. But outside of that, I have also uploaded the actual bylaws, articles of incorporation, the state statutes, and the declarations of this fictional community. So it is now accessing that information. So if you think about the way you could use this as well, as you could generate your board minutes, and then you could take the transcript and the board minutes and you could upload those into this, and you could continue to add to the model so that every single month when you're adding board minutes to it, it's adding that to its knowledge base, and it's making it more relevant and contextual to your homeowners. So going back to this model, I'm going to ask it a couple of questions. So just some sample questions, but things you could find in the documentation. So first off, we'll say, what are the rules around voting? And it's going to go access those documents. It's going to look through them. It's going to look through all of them, and it's going to give me the most relevant contextual information it can provide. And it pulls it from different documents. It's not necessarily all from one document. Does a decent job giving me the context that I need to know about this one community. If I'm a community manager and this is one of 10 or 20 communities I'm managing, be good to be able to just ask this question really quickly. Also, let's see, how about this question? Is there anything in my community documents that goes against the HOA laws of the state of Florida? I've uploaded the state statutes. It's going to go look in my governing documents and see if there's anything that may have a problem with those state documents. It's kind of going through its check. It's telling me what it thinks. No conflicts found. Great. Love that. All right. Let's see. I have a big capital project that we want to renovate a 50-year-old clubhouse on the property. Help me plan the communication strategy and understand any implications it would have on the bylaws or the declarations. Let's see what it has to say. So it gives me some ideas on how I can communicate this, the process of which it's thinking through how it would do this, and it's going to start planning this stuff out for me. Specific to this community, right? Legal documentation implications. The use of funds, something you should consider. Do we need a special loan or assessment for this? Something to consider. If it alters the purpose, access, or restriction of the clubhouse, we may need a vote. So it's giving me some really good information about how to handle this project within this very specific community. So I had a follow-up question, but it actually looks like it already answered it for me. But in what scenario would a member vote be necessary in regard to this clubhouse renovation? So it's just a follow-up question to the one I had before, but it's going to give me a very specific trigger for why I would need to do a member vote within this specific community for this type of project. So hopefully you're seeing a couple of different ways that you can really leverage the power of AI. You can work with the tools that are out there free and available today to really improve the way your the efficiency and the effectiveness of your staff, of your team. And if anything else, I hope it just gives you a few ways that you can go play with it, get out there, learn the technology, and understand how it works. So, Ryan, why don't we head back to the, I'll stop sharing and head back to the presentation real quick. So, here at Enumerate, we actually have, we've launched a new model inside of our application. It's called Enumerate Assist. It's live today. If you haven't been playing with it, I definitely encourage you to jump in and play around with it. It is trained on all of our knowledge base articles. It gives you 24/7 support. You can ask it anything. There's a little get help button in the bottom right-hand corner. You can discover new features. You can, ask it how to do whatever it is you're trying to do in the application. It'll give you a step-by-step instructions on how. And if at the end of the day, really, you just want to create a support ticket and talk to our support team, you can do it right through that as well. So you should jump in and play with that and check it out. And as we sort of wrap up here and what I was talking through with you before we get to some question and answer. Just a few key takeaways I'd like for you guys to remember. I mean, look, AI is here to empower you. It's here to empower you, your team, to really leverage the technology to do more, to get more done, to scale your operations, and to build more efficiencies and grow the margins of your business. It's not about replacing anyone. It really is about just reducing the amount of busy work that your team has to do so that they're happier, healthier, and can do more and focus on the core strengths of being a human. There's tools you can use now, right? Inside of Enumerate. You can jump in there and play around. And even outside of Enumerate, take the next step, right? Take the next step, explore, utilize, lead your team towards a world that is embracing AI and the technology and the innovation that's here and can provide value today. We at Enumerate are going to continue to evolve in this space. We have a lot of cool and exciting things planned for the rest of this year in the product for AI. We see this as a massive piece of leverage that we can offer our customers so that you guys can work smarter, not harder, grow your businesses faster, and really help build the types of communities that we all want to work within and live within.
Great.
Ryan, we got any questions out there?
Yeah, we got a few. I'm actually going to pop up another poll really quick. So feel free to answer that as we take some questions. Okay. How do we access Enumerate Assist? Is one.
So when you log into Central, in the bottom right corner, I think it's the bottom right. We talked about maybe it's on the bottom left, so it's either the bottom right or the bottom left. I don't know, but you're looking for a little button that says "Get Help." It has like a question mark and it says "Get Help." You click on that, and it's going to pop open just like a normal chat window, and you're chatting with our AI assistant, and it's going to answer all the questions that you could possibly have.
Great. And you kind of touched on this as well. Will Enumerate be incorporating AI abilities into the management software? For example, will I be able to prompt Enumerate to send a specific email to all owners in every association we manage, and then Enumerate takes it from there?
Um, that's a
It's
very
very
specific
specific,
question.
yes.
But yes, so we are going to continue to provide tools, AI powered tools to our customers. I think with AI, you always want to be careful. Even as good as it's getting, it's still not perfect. So you always want to be careful not to make it do too much at one time without oversight from a human. So telling it to send a bunch of emails to all homeowners may not be the best thing. Having it draft an email that you can then push send on to go to all homeowners. Yes, absolutely. I think that's smart and can be done. I'm just very careful and wary about having the AI just go and do without some sort of oversight or approval from a human. But it can do a lot of the busy work required prior to some human saying, yes, I approve that, send it.
Agreed.
Like
Um,
think of the AI as much more of, and we're being pretty overt about an enumerate assist and an assistant. Like AI should always sort of ride co-pilot or be an assistant to a human and do a lot of the work and then offer up, hey, is it okay for me to send this? Or can I have your approval to do this thing or take this action? That's the way we're thinking about um, how to leverage AI. Now there's a few things that it could do in the background. And when you get to agentic AI, it could kind of have some checks and balances and hold itself accountable. And that's a little bit more of an advanced use case, but those are coming as well. But it will likely be things that aren't homeowner facing, where it's going to go do something to thousands of people all at the same time without some sort of oversight.
what are some best practices for building trust and encouraging a shift in behavior to utilize AI within your teams?
Um, a shift in behavior. Well, so build. There's two different things, right? The building trust. Um, I think I would assume what you're talking about is building trust that we're not just going to replace all of your jobs with AI, so you can play with it and feel free to play with it. And I think a lot of that just comes down to being open and honest and frank about it. If the intention is that you're gonna, you're gonna use AI to empower your staff and really help them do more, being clear, being upfront with that, and helping them through the process of discovery to understand the best ways to use it to do their jobs better and faster is going to build that trust, right? Like being that guide, being that person that can help them discover the new technology and make it not so scary. Everyone kind of pushes away from uncertainty when they're not sure what the other side of a new technology or innovation or change, what the other side of that looks like. But being that guide that helps them see the vision for where they can be and how they can grow their careers and their understanding of a scary technology, that will build the trust. And then, working with the team, I say this to our team all the time. If you make somebody's job or life easier or better, um, you earn their trust. More often than not, you're going to earn their trust and their respect. So look for ways to help somebody. Look for ways to make someone's life easier or better. If that's a homeowner, a board member, somebody on your staff, like look for ways that you can lighten their load using AI.
Great. This, I'm not sure we can answer right now, but I believe we have some collateral on it. How does your AI compare to other community associations' AI tools? Pros, cons? I think we might have something we can send out.
Yeah, and if we have something we can send out, I guess whoever that is, write
Mhm.
into us. We'll send you We'll send you what we have. I'm not super familiar with all the competitors and the technology they have. A lot of what they have, or what I know they have, I showed you how to do some of that stuff today with the GPT. But again, keeping it within your ecosystem, or the ecosystem of uh, where your data is, where your homeowner data is, where your community data is going to be a better approach. And so, the choice of partner that you work with is going to matter in how those models are built and how those models remain secure and safe. And at Enumerate, we're going to great lengths to make sure that the data inside our platform is protected, and making sure that we're not allowing outside models to access your community data uh, uh, without the right controls.
Great. I believe that's all the questions. If we missed anything, or if you guys think of anything post-webinar, there is a survey at the close where you guys can submit a question. You can also contact us, marketing@goenumerate.com, and we'll be sure to get back to you. And just a reminder, this is being recorded, so we will send out a recording within 24 hours. But I believe that brings us to the end of today's session. Thank you so much, Greg. That was super insightful.
Thank you, Ryan.
Yeah, and thanks everyone for joining. We have a couple more webinars coming up, one on our training and enablement, one on the Engage product if you're more interested in that. And until then, everyone have a great day.
Thanks, everybody.
Thanks.